The holidays had always been a special time for my family. Growing up, my mom would decorate the house with lights and ornaments, cook enormous meals, and make sure we were all together, no matter how far we lived. But this year, it was different. My mom had called me, her voice warm but tinged with a sense of urgency. "Come home for Christmas, honey," she said, her voice breaking with emotion. "I've been feeling lonely, and it would mean so much to me if you came home." I had been living in a different state for the last few years, and though I tried to visit whenever I could, the distance and my hectic work schedule had kept me away for far too long. I could hear in her voice how much she missed me. She had always been there for me, nurturing and loving, and I couldn't bear to say no. "Of course, Mom, I'll be there. I'll leave tomorrow," I promised, my heart swelling with love for her. I knew it would be a long drive, 15 hours to be exact, but I would do anything to see her smile again. The next morning, I packed my things, started my car, and began the long drive home. The road stretched out before me as the hours ticked by, but all I could think about was how happy I would make my mom by showing up on Christmas Eve. Little did I know that the journey would not end the way I had expected. By the time I arrived at my mom's house, it was late. The roads were slick with frost and the air was biting cold. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw the familiar glow of the Christmas lights twinkling from the windows, just like I remembered. My heart ached with nostalgia. I stepped out of my car, the crunch of snow beneath my boots echoing in the quiet night. I walked up to the front door, eager to surprise her. I knocked softly, but there was no answer. I knocked again, more urgently this time, but still no response. "Mom?" I called, pushing the door open slowly. It creaked on its hinges, the familiar scent of cinnamon and pine filling the air. I stepped inside, expecting to see her there, waiting for me with open arms. But what I found instead was something I never could have imagined. There in the living room were my mom and Mark, her longtime neighbor and friend, tangled together on the couch. They were both startled at the sound of the door opening, their eyes wide in shock. My mom quickly pulled away from him, her face flushed with embarrassment, but it was already too late. "What the hell is going on?" I asked, my voice trembling with confusion and disbelief. My mom stood up quickly, her hand shaking. She started, but the words didn't come. Her expression was a mixture of guilt and surprise, but there was also something else, something she wasn't telling me. Mark, who was still seated on the couch, looked away, awkwardly adjusting his clothes. I should go," he mumbled, standing up and heading for the door without another word. He didn't even look at me as he left. I stood there, frozen, struggling to process what I had just walked in on. My mom, the woman who had raised me with love and care, who had always been my rock, was having an affair with Mark, of all people. Once Mark was gone, the silence between my mom and me was unbearable. I felt a tight knot in my stomach and my chest tightened as I tried to find the words to speak. "Mom, what just happened?" I asked, my voice shaking. "How long has this been going on? Why didn't you tell me?" My mom collapsed into the chair, burying her face in her hands. "I never wanted you to find out like this," she whispered. "I didn't know how to tell you." I was so ashamed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman who had always been there for me, the woman who had always taught me the value of honesty and integrity, was now sitting before me, admitting to something I never thought she was capable of. "Why, Mom?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "You've been with Dad for over 30 years. Why would you do this to him, to us?" My mom took a deep breath, her shoulders sagging with the weight of her confession. "I never meant for this to happen. It just happened. Mark and I have been friends for years. After your father passed away, I didn't know how to fill the void. Mark was there for me when I needed someone, and we got closer than I ever expected. I felt the ground beneath me shift. My dad, who had passed away a few years ago, was one of the most loving and dedicated men I had ever known. He had worked hard to provide for our family, and I had always believed in their marriage, their partnership. To hear my mom speak about this betrayal was like a knife in my heart. I know this is hard for you to understand, she continued, her voice trembling. I never wanted to hurt you, but I've been so lonely, and Mark, he filled a part of me that I didn't know was missing. I stood there, motionless, trying to absorb what she was saying. The woman I had always looked up to had been living a secret life behind closed doors, and I didn't know how to process it. What about Dad, Mom? I asked, my voice growing louder, more angry. What about the vows? What about the love you promised him? My mom looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted to hurt your father. I loved him with all my heart. But when he died, I felt abandoned. I was alone. And I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. And now I have to live with it. I turned away from her, pacing the room in disbelief. I couldn't look at her. The anger I felt was suffocating, and the betrayal cut deeper than anything I had ever experienced. I came home to be with you for the holidays, to reconnect, to heal, I said, my voice breaking. And this is what I walk into? I can't believe this. I just can't. My mom stood up, walking toward me, but I held my hand up, signaling her to stop. Please, just don't. I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, but I fought them back. I didn't know what to say anymore. My mom had just shattered the image I had of her. And worse, she had shattered the image I had of my entire family. The next few days were a blur. I didn't speak much to my mom. I spent the days alone, reflecting on everything that had happened. I couldn't believe I had driven 15 hours to come home, only to find my world turned upside down. I was angry, hurt, confused, and betrayed. Eventually, my mom came to me, her eyes red from crying. I understand if you can't forgive me. I know I've hurt you in ways that words can't describe, but please know that I never wanted to lose you, and I never wanted you to find out like this. I looked at her, feeling the weight of the situation. I didn't know if I could forgive her, or even if I wanted to, but I knew one thing: I couldn't let this define who I was. I had to move on, and I had to find a way to heal. Mom, I don't know what to say. I'm angry and I'm hurt, but I need time. I need time to process everything. She nodded, wiping away her tears. I understand, honey. Take all the time you need. I spent the next few days thinking, reflecting on my relationship with my mom. I wasn't ready to forgive her yet, but I also knew that she was still my mom, the woman who raised me, the woman who had been there for me through thick and thin. I didn't know where this would lead, but I hoped one day I could understand her actions. As for the holidays, I wasn't sure how to face them anymore. But I did know one thing: I would never forget what happened. And I would never be the same again.